यावत् पवनो निवसति देहे तावत् पृच्छति कुशलं गेहे। गतवति वायौ देहापाये भार्या बिभ्यति तस्मिन् काये। बालस्तावत् क्रीडासक्तः तरुणस्तावत् तरुणीसक्तः। वृद्धस्तावच्चिन्तासक्तः परमे ब्रह्मणि कोऽपि न सक्तः। काते कान्ता कस्ते पुत्रः संसारोऽयमतीव विचित्रः। कस्य त्वं कः कुत आयातः तत्त्वं चिन्तय तदिह भ्रातः। सत्सङ्गत्वे निस्सङ्गत्वं निस्सङ्गत्वे निर्मोहत्वम् निर्मोहत्वे निश्चलतत्वम् निश्चलतत्वे जीवन्मुक्तिः। वयसि गते कः कामविकारः शुष्के नीरे कः कासारः। क्षीणे वित्ते कः परिवारो ज्ञाते तत्त्वे कः संसारः।
Bhaja Govindam. Shankaracharya was walking in the streets of Kashi with his disciples. They came across a old person, a person of advanced age, struggling to learn Dukran Karni. There is the grammar book called Siddhanta Kaumiti by Panini. Now this grammar and the associated things with the language, tradition tradition considers it as very important, because using these formulas alone, you will be able to rightly interpret the words of the Vedas. So therefore, this person trying to understand the Vedas is still trying to do this study. So Dukran Karne from the book, Dukran Karne is a formula. There are so many grammatical formulas, and for about if classical Sanskrit has 3,000 formulas, Vedic Sanskrit has about 6,000 formulas, and each and every word of the Veda can be interpreted so differently. So this person is trying to understand that. Shankara felt pity on him, saying that even at this age, he is not making an attempt to develop mumukshatva. Looking at the person, Shankara felt pity. He felt pity not because he is studying grammar. He felt pity because human beings getting caught up in their respective activities and not developing mumukshatva. So whoever doesn't develop mumukshatva, the guru always feels pity on them, and they try to help the person develop this mumukshatva. Therefore, he started singing this song, Bhaja Govindam. We saw it in the introduction itself. Moha Mudgara, it is called. Mudgara means hammer. Moha means delusion. Mudgara means hammer. So Moha Mudgara means hammering the delusion. And you can't get angry with Shankaracharya because hammering is not going to be very pleasant. Isn't it? Because he is not garlanding with rose, he is not giving you rose garlands and teaching. If he is giving you rose garlands and teaching, it will be pleasant. But here, what is he doing? Moha Mudgara. He is hammering. Each and every verse gives a heavy blow to what? To the excessive value that one has attached to the world. The excessive value that one has attached to the world, and so caught up in that, naturally, what will happen? There will not be a softness in the tone. That's why it's called Moha Mudgara. There is no softness in the tone. You cannot come and ask, why can't you teach pleasantly, softly? Pleasant and soft means it will be a lullaby and you will fall off to sleep. And here you are already sleeping and he's trying to wake you up. And when he's trying to wake you up, the tone will be very, very different. The tone is because of what? Mumukshu bhava. That mumukshatva should develop. In order to develop that mumukshatva, the excessive value that you have placed on everything now has to be taken away. Only when the excessive value that you have given for everything is taken away, mumukshatva will come. And to take away the excessive value that you have given, he gives various methodology, and where each and every verse he gives one attachment. Each and every verse he gives one method of hammering the delusion. But we all come and sit in the class following the government rules of wearing the helmet. The government rules, we wear the helmet, shatterproof, isn't it? How much ever hammer it happens, helmet protects us. Our moha is still, moha goes, moha intact tirimporum. Vijay, புரியுதா? Helmet கழட்டி வச்சுட்டு வாங்க. Remove the helmet and come into the, remove the helmet and sit in the class. Then the hammering works. The last verse that we studied a few weeks back, the last verse, which is verse number 8. Kate kanta kaste putraha samsaro yamativa vichitraha. What is he saying there? Moha Mudgara requires a proper way of thinking first. You need to know how to think about everything rightly. What is the right way of thinking, or what is the wrong way of thinking? The wrong way of thinking is the essential. You need to understand the complexity of the mind itself, the complex nature of the human mind. The complex nature of the human mind is it will move in extremes, and the extremes, it will misunderstand it as opposite. Again, I repeat, the complexity of the human mind is it will move into extremes, opposites. And the opposite is the extremes is these extreme will be misunderstood as the opposite. For example, somebody is a glutton. Say that. Somebody is a glutton. Without anybody telling him, his own body will make him go to the other extreme. What is other extreme? The body will become sick and he will be in pain. Therefore, the very overeating will stretch him to the very overeating will make the mind go to the other extreme. So from overeating as a solution, what will he start doing? What will he start doing? Starving, fasting. But one thing he will not do, what? Right eating. Right eating he cannot do. Either he will overeat or he will starve. Because these two is what the complexity of the human mind is. This has to be clearly understood if you have to develop this mumukshatva. This has to be very clearly understood. Because of the same misunderstanding that people go with, they continue the mistake. What is the mistake? A person too attached to wealth at one point of time will run away from wealth. If you are too attached to a human being at one point of time, you will want to run away or you will run away from the human being, from the same human being at another point in time. The law doesn't change. The complexity of the mind functions in the same way. Moving in extremes, you should understand there is no difference between the two conditions. You are exactly the same. When you are moving in opposites, don't think that you are changing, growing. You are exactly in the same position. This is something very difficult to understand. And this understanding is very important for Moha Mudgara. For what is delusion? The wrong way of thinking, the wrong way of living is the delusion. Similarly, when you are attached to somebody, the very attachment itself will cause so much of frustration that the very attachment will cause so much of frustration that you will run away to the other extreme, which you will misunderstand it as detachment. Just as fasting is misunderstood as opposite of starving is misunderstood as opposite of overeating. At one point of time, the person is running behind wealth. At another point of time, he gets so pained and so frustrated, he runs away. He runs away from wealth. So in both the cases, moha remains the same, condition remains the same. Either you are chasing it or running away from it, both means the same. Both means you are in moha. When we talk about detachment in Vedanta, we don't talk about detachment as the opposite of attachment. The fallacy of human thinking is we think in linguistic opposites. We think in linguistic opposites and we believe we are thinking. Linguistic opposites is not thinking. Like, for example, if I were to ask, I asked this question any number of times. If I were to ask, what is the opposite of love? You will say hatred, isn't it? Instinctively, you will give the answer, hatred. You don't know because you have not inquired. The opposite of love is not hatred. The opposite of love is indifference. That is why you will be happy with the person who's fighting with you at home. You will be very irritated with the person who is indifferent. So what is the linguistic opposites versus what is the moha is not concerned about your linguistic opposites. Moha is about the reality. Are you able to follow? Somebody is very affectionate to you. Somebody is fighting with you. Somebody is indifferent to you. Are you able to follow? Ram Subramaniam. Somebody is affectionate to you. Understandable. Somebody is fighting with you. Understandable. Somebody is indifferent to you. Understand. Of the three, which is the painful? Which is the painful? is fighting or indifference. Are you able to follow? It means the factual opposite of love is indifference, but the linguistic opposites make you to say love means the opposite of love is hatred. Are you able to follow? In the same manner, if you were to ask the opposite of attachment, you call it as detachment. You follow? The opposite of attachment is not detachment. The irony of human life is it is easy to go from one extreme to the other extreme. They say, no, here, there's a very old proverb in India. The Tamil Naguda, they say that a person's mouth is burnt while drinking hot milk. He is scared to drink buttermilk now. He's scared even to drink buttermilk because milk also looks white. Buttermilk also looks white. No, he's scared even to drink buttermilk. He's scared to drink. One who is burnt by the world will be afraid of the divine also now. Look at that opposite. One who is burnt by the world will be afraid of the divine, because one who is burnt one way will be, sir, I have to be very careful now, sir. Now that I got burnt, from now on now that I burnt once, I'll be very, very careful. Most of the time, detachment will be seen to as a thing to overcome fear, pain. Detachment is not a solution to overcome fear and pain. Detachment should be your natural state of existence. Again, detachment is not a formula to overcome pain and suffering, fear. Detachment should be your natural state, not should be your natural state. It is your natural state, but because of moha, because of delusion, possessiveness seems to be our natural state. That's moha. Are you able to follow? Possessiveness seems to be our natural state, whereas detachment is our natural state. One has to be detached from the world, but the detachment not out of any fear. If you give up anything out of fear, what will happen? It will chase you. It will follow you. Wherever you go, it will be there chasing you, following you. Why? Because the fear is inside of you. It is not there. And if detachment means fear means running away, where will you run away? From whom will you run away? Okay, you can run away from everybody, but you cannot run away from yourself. And the problem is, in moha, the problem is you, and you cannot run away from yourself, because wherever you go, who's there before you, welcoming you? You go to Himalayas, before you go to Himalayas, your mind will be sitting there welcoming you. Because wherever you go, you cannot run away from yourself. So the real question is, change the inner state. By changing the place or changing the person, nothing is going to happen. Change the inner state. What is that inner state? Extreme is the disease. That's where one who doesn't follow the life of extremities is a free person. When it is stable, just in the middle, that is what Krishna calls it as Sthita Prajna. Stability is in the middle. Stability is not in the opposites. When you are in one extreme, you are so unstable that you will move necessarily to the other extreme. Now, who is a Sthita Prajna? A Sthita Prajna means one who is in the middle, one who is stable. Stable. Stability comes when you are in the middle. What does middle means? All the opposites are interconnected. This is knowledge. Understand this. All opposites are interconnected. All opposites are interconnected. You cannot escape. When you are stuck to one, by default, you are stuck to the other also because both are interconnected. It is like two banks of the river which is interconnected, but you don't see the connection because of the water flow. The two banks seems to be opposites, but then they are not two banks. They are connected by, they are so deeply connected. You follow the example? They are so deeply connected, but you misunderstand it to be, but you misunderstand them to be opposites. All the opposites are interconnected. How do you say that? If you love somebody, you will be constantly thinking about that person. If you hate somebody, you love somebody, you will be constantly thinking. You hate somebody, again, again you are constantly thinking, isn't it? In fact, a friend can be forgotten sometimes. Enemy, friend also can be forgotten at times. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. But enemy, you can never ever say, I have forgotten my enemy. Can you say that? You cannot say, impossible to say that. You follow? The friend can very soon become an, the friend can very soon become an enemy. If friendliness is one kind of relationship, enmity is another kind of relationship. But you can never, but you will be moving from extremes. What is that extreme? At one point of time, relationship of calling it as friend. At another point in time, a relationship calling it as enemy. Do you understand? You have a very deep connection, a very deep relationship with your enemy also. This is this is why this knowledge is very important. Are you able to follow? Middle means you have broken relationships. You have broken relationship means what? You are in the middle where neither a friend nor an enemy. Otherwise, moving in extremes. Are you able to follow? Otherwise, moving in extremes. What is moving in extremes? You know, moving in extremes is the mechanical way in which the mind functions. It's the ignorant, foolish, a mind that has not aware, a the mind that is not doesn't have any awareness mechanically functions. And what is the mechanical functioning of the mind? Moving in extremes. It's a mechanical way of functioning without any awareness, without any consciousness, without any knowledge, without any nothing. How do you know that? That's where the Upanishad gives the example of the bullock cart. Even the best cars can't do that. Bullock can do that. I don't know. I don't know whether Tesla car also can do that. I don't know. But bullock cart can do that. What it can do, 4 o'clock in the morning, the farmer fills the cart with the vegetables and come to the market to sell it. So by the time he comes to the market, it's about 6 o'clock. At 9 o'clock, the whole lot is sold. And he has gotten his sold, he's gotten some money. He had some work in the market. And he has to send the bullock cart back home. You know what he will do? It's the truth. Even today, it is the truth. You know what he will do? He will change the direction of the bullock cart. Change the direction of the bullock cart towards the home, and he will whip it and say, go. Faithfully, the bullock cart reaches home. How many have seen that in the villages? Has anybody seen all this? Has anybody seen it? It will faithfully go back to the house. Not a split second the bullock can think, why can't I run away? Because he's not there, no. It cannot think. Why can't it? Cannot. It will go. And that's not the beauty. The beauty is it will stand in front of the tea shop for 10 minutes. It will stand in front of the tea shop for 10 minutes. It will stand. Why? It's not having tea. Why it stands? The master every day will stand there and have tea. And it will go and park itself. This is called moha. This is moha, delusion. It will just change all that it requires for the mind to become foolish is change the direction little bit. Avladhan. The friend will turn into an enemy will turn into a friend, love will turn into hatred will turn into love. It is just the change of opposites. Moha mudgara means what? Hammering us out of this delusion. So, what is he teaching now? Watch the attachment carefully. Understand attachment rightly. In that right understanding, attachment disappears. So detachment is not opposite of attachment. Detachment is disappearance of attachment. It's not moving from one to the other. The absence of attachment is detachment, not the opposite. Attachment will disappear, and then what will happen, sir? Because our problem is the opposite should happen. Then only for us, the logic is complete. Are you able to follow? For us, the logic will be complete only when the opposite happens. Moha comes and says, opposite will not happen. What? You see, you penetratively look at attachment. Attachment disappears. Attachment vanishes. Attachment will disappear and nothing will take its place. If at all you want to call it as detachment, you call it as detachment. In Vedanta, the word is moha is gone. In Vedanta, the delusion is gone. After a few weeks, we are meeting so summary of Bhaja Govindam as to what we studied till now. Who's your wife? Who's your son? This world is very, very strange. This world is very strange because the person who is attached will want to borrow detachment. Will want to borrow. It's a very strange world. Everything is so strange here, isn't it? Actually, it's not strange. The human mind is so strange. Because by borrowing detachment, we think we are detached. What does borrowing detachment means? Now I have studied this, I have understood. I have studied this, I have understood. You have not overcome. You have not yet come to the stable point. You have not yet come to the middle point. What is that stable middle right point? The right thinking. The right thinking creates the light of understanding. In that light of understanding, in that light, darkness disappears. Asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritam gamaya. Lead me from darkness to light. Lead me from dark. What is that? L- Light is not the opposite of darkness. In the presence of light, darkness disappears. It means there is no such thing called darkness existing. Meaning the potential for the opposite will not exist at all. Love means the potential for hatred should not exist at all. If there is the potential for hatred existing, then it is not love at all. You follow? Right knowledge, moha means whatsoever you do, the potential for the opposite exists. Here, what is saying? The potential for the opposite will not exist. Who's your wife? Who's your son? Ask these questions. A chance meeting of strangers create an illusion that my son, my wife, my brother, my sister. It's a chance meeting of the strangers. Very difficult to accept it. Impossible to accept. Yeah. It's a strange occurrence. Two unacquainted persons walking on it is like the railway compartment. Hmm. Two, two unacquainted persons got berth next to each other, got seat next to each other, and they sit. Because they got berth seat next to each other, they started having a conversation. Having developed the conversation, what happens? Having developed a conversation, the tea fellow comes, isn't it? First you will buy tea, and then the other fellow will buy you tea. Now we have understood each other so well, sir. Why? But first he bought tea, and now you bought tea. Full stop. That's all. Now we are made for each other. We have understood each other so well, and that's it. Shankaracharya can keep his Shankaracharya can keep his philosophy. Kate, Ganda, Gaste, Putra, and all he can keep. Relationships that develops out of loneliness is bound to cause misery. Take it or leave it. All relationships we develop because of loneliness. The moment you have the courage to accept loneliness and have relationships, it's beautiful. Again, human feels lonely, very, very lonely. With the loneliness, you can do two things. With the loneliness, you can do two things. What? You can understand it rightly and transcend it, or create your own imaginary world out of loneliness. That imaginary world that you have created out of your loneliness is what this verse is saying. Verse 8. Kate kanta kaste putra. Because of loneliness. In loneliness, a person starts talking to oneself. If you actually very closely observe people, you can see their lips moving. They're talking. If you are very smart, you will continue to talk, but you will ensure that your mouth is shut. Then everybody will think you are very sane, isn't it? Who's a sane person? One who's talking, but the lips doesn't move. Insane means, what is the difference between sane and insane? Shankar, புரியுதா? வைத்தியக்காரன் பேசுறது வெளில தெரியும். இல்லையா? Sane fellow means he'll be talking all the time, but the mouth he'll be like Buddha in meditation from outside. Yeah. You see that person, you think that person is absolutely still. Very sane. Who's insane? Nobody is there. That person is okay. Everybody talks to themselves. Only difference is what? We don't talk aloud. If somebody starts talking aloud, we call that person as insane. Take the so-called person and put them in loneliness. Put them without any, keep them in a room and shut the door. That's all. In a few seconds, you can hear them talking. First they will not talk, they will start singing first. Okay. They will not talk first. They will start singing. Yeah. Bathroom la taniya garthu kuda bayam, isn't it? That's why even when you go to the bathroom, you have to start thinking. There are people who carry the music into the bathroom also, no? At least there they can't be. Wait. Why? The loneliness is unbearable and you want to get rid of this loneliness. So you create the relationship to forget loneliness. Kate, Kanta, Kaste, Putraha means he's not asking the name of your wife, name of your son. In what way, what difference does it make? Are you able to follow? What is he saying? The very deep reason for us to make so many relationships, the very reason for us to create so many relationships is what? There is a sense of loneliness. So in order to avoid the loneliness, we start looking for people. After a while, human beings becomes very difficult. That's where we start moving on to pets. Relationship with the pet, isn't it? And they start talking to the dogs also, isn't it? No, sir, it will react and respond, sir. Of course, it will react and respond. Poor thing, isn't it? Poor thing, it is reacting and responding. You create relationships only to overcome loneliness. So, kate kanta kaste putraha samsaro yamativa vichitraha means he's not asking who's your wife, who is your son. He's saying, you go on making a world of relationships so that loneliness can be forgotten. Mhm. So that loneliness can be forgotten. And how much ever you create relationships, the loneliness goes on getting reinforced. The loneliness keeps reinforced. Just as the opposites are, just as the opposites are interconnected. Are you able to follow? That's why we say loneliness means you think you have freedom from pain and anguish, isn't it? Relationship means what? Loneliness is painful. In order to overcome the pain of loneliness, you need a relationship. So that relationship is to give you, this relationship is to help you give freedom from pain and anguish, correct? Vedanta comes and says, Shankaracharya comes and says, basic mathematics you should have. What is the basic mathematics? Basic mathematics. 2 plus 2, 4 nadu solla theriyum, isn't it? Isn't it? Even kindergarten children will know. 2 plus 2 is 4, correct? Vijay, purida, 2 plus 2, 2 plus 2, 4 ஆவது சொல்ல தரணும், isn't it? At least that basic mathematics in life we should have. And we don't even have the basic mathematics in life, we don't know. What is that basic mathematics in life? Two unhappy persons meet and they think they can give happiness to each other. Unhappiness plus unhappiness equals happiness. அதுதான் மோகம். ராமசுப்ரமணியம், புரியுதா? Unhappiness plus unhappiness equals happiness. Foolish plus foolish equals wisdom. How did it happen? This is moha. Moha mudgara. Who's your wife? Who's your husband? Right. Sir, the previous Bhaja Govindam sessions were good, sir. This is quite very painful, sir. So people wanted on the Pade Bhaja Govindam sessions. I don't know what I said in that. Basic mathematics. No, when two unhappy persons meet, unhappiness just doesn't become double. Unhappiness multiplies. Yeah. Arithmetic progression, geometric progression, bro. Third one, moon progression, arithmetic progression, bro. Geometric progression. Third in bar. There is a third one, exponential. Graph sense exponential progression. When two unhappy persons meet, what will be the quality of their what will be the quality of their unhappiness? Exponential progression. How does it work? You are lonely and you expect the other to give you freedom from loneliness. When the other is coming to you, the other is also coming with the same expectation. No. Are you able to follow? You are lonely. You are not happy alone. You are looking for the other. What is the other doing? And the other is also not happy to be alone and he is also looking at you with the same expectation. Now, can this expectation result in happiness? It cannot result in happiness. Why? Both of them go on expecting from each other. Both of them go on expecting. Take it or leave it. Mohamudgarana konjam harsha dhaan irukum, isn't it? Expectation means beggar. The person on the roadside, every person that is, you see the beggars on the roadside signals, no? Every person is a potential. Every person seems to be the potential donor, isn't it? That's why he goes on begging, begging, begging. I have given only love to others, sir. People come and say this also. I have only given love to other, and what I received from the other is hatred. You know, only when you are detached and when you are in the height of bliss alone, you can love. As you are, you cannot love. To love, you have to be detached. Detachment means being in the middle. Being in the middle means the potential for opposite doesn't exist at all. Therefore, the person who has developed love will say there is no such thing called hatred. There is no such thing called hatred at all. You are not happy. You are not blissful. You are begging. The other is not happy. The other is not blissful. The other is also begging. Both of you don't have anything to give to the other. But you go on waiting to receive some love in charity. Able to follow? You go on waiting to receive some love as charity from the other. As you go on waiting, carefully follow now. As you go on waiting, disappointment starts. Disappointment starts. Over a period of time, the disappointment multiplies and very soon there will be a inner frustration, etc. This is what he's saying. Kate kanta kaste putraha samsaro yamativa vichitraha. This is vichitra it is. Are you able to follow? Now, when you waited and waited and waited and got disappointed from seeking company, you will run away from that person thinking that loneliness is going to save you. That's why we run away from people. Are you able to follow? You waited and waited and waited and gotten disappointed. In that disappointment, you will want to run away. And that running away is misunderstood as detachment. That running away is misunderstood as growth. It is not. It is not. When you are in company, the company disturbs you. The presence disturbs you. When you are lonely, the loneliness disturbs you. So what do you want? You don't know what you want. No one knows. No one knows what they want. If loneliness alone can bring you trouble, company should be very pleasant. If company can give you trouble, loneliness can be pleasant. No, loneliness is also troublesome. Company is also troublesome. This is Vichitra. The samsara is Vichitra. Are you able to understand what is the meaning by the word Vichitra now? Samsaro yamativa Vichitra. What is this Vichitra? Company and loneliness. Sangha is also troublesome. Being alone is also troublesome. You don't know what you do. You don't know what you do with yourself, and you don't know what to do with the not knowing what to do with oneself. We go on creating relationships. We go on creating relationships. What are all the relationships? Okay, friendship, marriage, children, and then comes membership in a club, isn't it? Because you need membership in a club also. Because otherwise, how to escape? The company that you are longing for, you want to run away from that company. So lonely at home, so brings in a partner. And then making plans to run away from that partner whom you brought. This is Vichitra. Are you able to follow? Samsaro yamativa Vichitraha. This is. What is this Vichitra? The human being, because of loneliness, brings in a partner. Then the same person has to make an effort to move away from the partner now. Isn't it? That's why they have to go and join a club. They have to go to the hotel. They have to keep traveling, becoming. Uh, and then in the club, another problem will start, isn't it? What is another problem? Who has to be the secretary? Welfare association. Who has to be the joint secretary? Yeah. And then, oh my God, that is also too. That is also too troublesome. That is why, sir, spiritual people I have started associating with. And then you come and see there is nothing spiritual in anybody. There is nothing spiritual at all. Now you really don't know what to do now, isn't it? You're completely stuck. This is Vichitra. Samsaro yamativa. This Vichitra is geometric proportion. This is not geometric. Exponential. Exponential proportion. Who's your wife? Who's your son? This world is very, very strange. Whose are you? Who are you? From where have you come? Where are you going? coincidences, we have to give it a sense of reality. Then only it makes it meaningful. For example, take this example, Laila and Majnu. Hmm? Take the example, Laila and Majnu. If you tell Majnu that his meeting with Laila was just a coincidence, what happens? The romance is dead, the poetry is dead, everything is dead. Correct? If he had lived in some other place, some other would have been the Laila. That's all. Not for it has got nothing to do with, but that person genuinely believes it is this person. No? அதுதான் மோகா விசித்திர it is. சம்சாரோ யமதீவ விசித்திர. Definitely Laila would have found some Majnu, Majnu would have found some Laila, but not necessarily these two. Why? Because both have loneliness in the core. And because of that loneliness, definitely you will end up finding somebody. But then you will say, what is it? Soulmate. Correct? Soulmate, no? Soulmate. We are destined to be together. There is no destined to be together. There is no soulmate. There is no, what is that? Made for each other. It's a strange coincidence. Moha makes you to believe in all these romantic things because then only it appears meaningful to you. Otherwise, it looks so foolish. Otherwise, it looks so foolish in your eyes. It looks so childish in your life, in your eyes. But you are all matured human beings. No, therefore you have to bring in some. You have to bring in some new stories to everything that you do. What is the story that you have to bring in? These are the stories. Some stories we have to constantly keep bringing. If you can see this properly, loneliness will go. Please understand that. We are not interested in getting rid of relationship. We are interested in eliminating loneliness. Understand that. Again, you misunderstand and you want to run away from relationships only. But loneliness you will keep. Isn't it? It is to overcome. The idea is to overcome loneliness, not overcome relationships. It's a coincidence, meaning as long as you feel the sense of loneliness, you'll go on developing relationship. And all relationships are hallucinatory by nature because it is seen as an escapism from loneliness. So kate kanta kaste putraha samsaro yamativa vichitraha means it is about the loneliness that is driving you to seek relationships. Okay. If it should not be done like this, then what is the right way? What is the right way? What is the proper way? What is the right way? Next verse, padingo.
Satsangate nissangatvam nissangate nirmohatvam nirmohatte nischalatatvam nischalatatve jivan muktihi satsangate nissangatvam nissangatve nirmohatvam nirmohatte nischalatatvam nischalatatve jivan muktihi.
From the company of the good arises non-attachment. From non-attachment arises freedom from delusion. From non-delusion arises absolute steadfastness. From absolute steadfastness arises liberation in life. From the company of the good arises non-attachment. From non-attachment arises freedom from delusion. From non-delusion arises absolute steadfastness. From absolute steadfastness arises liberation in life. Start with satsanga and end in Jivan Mukti, the spiritual roadmap. The complete roadmap is given. Loneliness, what all the wrong things should know, all the things that is moha is explained till verse 8. Now he is giving the roadmap. What is the roadmap? Sasangatve nissangatvam, nissangatve nirmohatvam, nirmohatve nischalatatvam, nischalatatve jivan muktihi. From satsang to jivan mukti. So the road. Now I'll explain it. Then it makes very clear. Now what is he saying? From satsang creates sasangatve nissangatvam. Satsang should result in detachment. Satsang means you have started seeing the truth. Literal meaning of satsang is good company, good association. The literal meaning of satsang is, if you literally translate, you call it as good company, good association. Satsang means you have woken up. Your dreaming is over. What is dreaming? Moha is dreaming. Are you able to follow? Moha is dreaming. All that has been happening till now is dreaming. Kate kanta kaste putraha sansaro yamativa vichidara. Up to this you are in. Up to this is moha in dream. Now satsangatve. Satsang is the first starting. The satsang becomes the starting point. And today satsang means, people understand satsang means singing, bhajans, isn't it? Satsang means I went to satsang and came. Storytelling, story sessions is understood as satsang. Singing bhajans is understood as satsang. We are not saying it is not. Satsang means that which should make your eyes open. You follow? Any satsang means that which will remove all other relationships but will not create a new relationship is called satsang. Again, I repeat, satsang means that which will remove all relationship, means that which will make you independent, not develop another relationship. Most of the time what happens is, wherever we go, we end up developing a relationship. Wherever we go, we end up developing relationships, isn't it? Even when we go to the guru also, we end up developing a relationship with the guru now also, isn't it? Even with the guru, we end up developing a relationship. Relationship means what? What is relationship? Sangha, attachment, relationship. Sangha means attachment, relationship. What is relationship? I am in a relationship, sir. People say. When they say I am in a relationship, what does it mean? What do they mean by that relationship? Relationship means in the wrong moha. That is where satsanga should lead to satsangatve nissangatvam. Relationship means it is misunderstood as exclusivity priority. Relationship means exclusivity. Relationship means priority. If that exclusivity is taken away, priority is taken away, you will say there is no relationship at all. So moha mean in the way that you have understood relationships, in the way that you have developed relationships, what is the background of it? Exclusivity and priority. I should be exclusive and I should be the priority. Why I should be exclusive and why I should be given priority? Because if I am not given exclusivity and priority, I feel lonely. If somebody gives me priority, somebody keeps me as an exclusive, somebody gives me that exclusivity, somebody gives me the priority, immediately what happens? A kind of bondage starts. Actually, there's no relationship there. A bondage starts there. It's the bondage. Having come into spiritual field, also people develop the same bondage because actually they don't come into spirituality at all. It is just moving from one, because of some moving from overeating to fasting. And very soon from fasting, they will move on to overeat. From sasangatve nissangatvam. Sangha means an association that should wake you up. Satsang means that which wakes you up. Satsang means that which keeps you awake. Awake into the reality. Awake means what? Awakened means awakened to the truths, to the facts, to the reality. And when you are awakened to the facts and the reality, it's very hurtful, it's very painful. Because we want to be in the lullaby. We are like the child, the infant child. I don't know infant, 4 months old, 5 months old. The satisfaction of the 5-month old is in sucking the thumb, isn't it? The satisfaction of the 4-month-old child, 5-month-old child is, where does satisfaction come from? Sucking the thumb. And you take the thumb out. You take the thumb out, what happens? Children do that, no? You take they go on sucking their thumb, and you take the thumb out. What does the child do? What does the child do? It gets very angry. It gets very upset. It cries, and it will stop till you put something in the mouth, isn't it? When it will stop, something in the mouth you have to put. Hmm? This is not satsang. Satsang means remove the thumb and don't put anything else as a substitute. Don't put anything else as the substitute. That is satsang. You follow? Satsangatve nissangatvam. In the philosophical thing, there is a very beautiful story. In the Western thing, they call it as Aristotle's house. Aristotle's house parable. What is that Aristo's house parable? The man's house got fire and the whole thing is burning. And the owner is crying because the whole lot is burning. He's crying, crying, crying. Somebody from the crowd came and told him, "Why are you crying? There's no need to cry because your son had sold this house yesterday." What happens? What happens then? No, crying, crying stops. The house is on fire, the flames were spreading, but the man was not crying. Just then, the son came running and he started crying. Why? The check they gave, they made a mistake in the check. So the accountant, the check didn't realize. Now you go to that guy, he's not going to give you a new check. Now what happened? Now what happened? Hearing this, the man started crying again more loudly. Are you able to follow? He is not crying because the house is on fire. He's crying because his relationship, something, something of him is getting burnt there. Something of him is getting burnt. That's why people say, I invested everything there, sir. All my investments I have put there. And obviously it will be a loss and you will get. Somebody's house is on fire, the fellow will take a video or selfie with that fire, no? Isn't it? If somebody's house is on fire, the fellow will take selfie with that fire. Why? Oh, sir, the power of fire, the power of Agni, sir. Isn't it? Mhm. Satsang means you will not, you don't have the need to call anybody or anyone as specifically yours. Satsangatve nissangatvam. Are you able to follow? Again, I repeat. There is no inner urge. There is no inner dependency. There is no inner loneliness. There is no inner need for you to say something or somebody or a combination of something and somebody as yours. The moment you have this kind of sangha, anguish, you cannot escape pain and anguish, sorrow, suffering. You cannot escape. When this attachment disappears, what disappears? Misery also disappears. Because there is no potential for misery or pain at all. If it becomes clear that nobody is yours, nobody can be claimed as yours, including this body which you think as yours, also you cannot claim it as yours, stability comes. That is sasangatve nissangatvam. Continuous association with those who are trying to wake you up and not singing a lullaby to put you off to sleep, not creating another kind of relationship, not creating another kind of sangha will create in sasangatve nissangatvam. If you remember, That's what I said when we discussed the invocatory prayer in Kena Upanishad. All Upanishadic invocatory prayer says, we are not here to develop another relationship. Remember this. Remember this. The association, the satsang is to develop nissanga, not to create one more relationship. Okay, sir, I have all other relationships, but uh, relationship with the guru, sir? Relationship with the guru is perfectly all right, no, sir? Don't worry, you can never get closer to a guru. You can never develop a relationship with the guru because he will never give exclusivity. He will never tell you, you are my priority. He will never tell you, I am in need of you. So forget the guru. You can never develop. If somebody comes and tells you, I am in need of you, Nale, that person is one unhappy person. Remember that. Remember that even 2 plus 2 equals 4, we don't understand. What is sasangatve, nisangatva means? There are other 3 steps which I'll continue in the next session because it's a beautiful spiritual map. It's a beautiful roadmap given because the spiritual practice, the scriptures gives so many sadhanas. It looks like it's all so random and so unconnected. So what Shankara is doing here, he has made it into a beautiful roadmap. Sasangatve, nisangatvam. What is Nissangatve, Nirmohatvam? I'll continue next week on that. But today we'll only Sassangatve, Nissangatvam. Satsang means, which tells you that loneliness is imaginary. It's an imaginary loneliness. There has to be woken up. Loneliness is imaginary, and this has to be continuously taught. Again, I repeat, this loneliness is imaginary. Because of this loneliness, you need a relationship where exclusivity, priority, and all becomes the need of the necessary aspect of the relationship. Okay, what is the necessary aspect of the relationship? You call, the person should answer, isn't it? That's why, as a rule, I don't answer. As a rule, I don't answer. Then what is the phone there for? So then why do you even have a phone? Isn't it? I have a phone just to show off that I also have a phone, that's all, isn't it? You think you have the freedom to call. I think I have the freedom to answer the call, no? Yeah. You think you have the freedom to call. I think I have the freedom to answer it. Are you able to follow? A, 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 a relationship which should not make you bound, chained. That is satsangatve, nissangatva. So all the relationships stemming out of the pain and fear of loneliness, and to overcome the fear and pain of loneliness, exclusivity, priority, and always singing lullabies to keep me asleep. That is dussang. That is dussang. What is satsang? Satsang means it will hammer you and wake you up. Just as the child puts the thumb in the mouth and goes on sucking it, the mother will come and what will the mother do? Will come and pull it out. It has to be pulled out. No, no, no. Why are you disturbing the child? Put additional 2 more fingers in the mouth. Huh? What will you do? Isn't it? You have to pull it out. And when you pull it out, it is painful. Moha Udgara. Sasangatve Nisangatvam. That's where very beautifully he says, from, from, from the company of the good arises non-attachment to everything, including that good. Look at that. Sasangatve Nisangatvam. From the company of the good arises non-attachment, including that good. Supposing if it says non-attachment to everything else, but tremendous attachment to that, then it is not satsang. It is dussang, which is what is happening anyway in all worldly relationships. Are you able to follow? Therefore, from satsang arises nissanga, company of the good. What is good? All that I'll discuss next week. What is good? What is sat? Sat means good. Sat means good. Sat means the truth. Satsang means association with the truth. Good means one who represents the truth. Are you able to follow? Sat means the truth. Not they are good because they represent they are good only because they are the truth. They represent the truth. So from satsanga arises nissanga. Nissangatve nirmohatvam. From non-attachment to freedom from delusion. Nirmohatve nischalatatvam. Nischalatatve jivan mukti. This is the spiritual roadmap which we will continue to read, which we will continue to study in the next session.